Unfortunately, its true purpose is something much more entertainers and celebrities, by virtually every metric imaginable, this planet is in very good health. Do they? That is not a rhetorical question, because it is a very serious question. Democrat leadership is not just willing to kill children at every stage of development, but are willing to kill the child after he is born. Killing children after they are born used to be reserved for ancient Egypt, but now it is becoming even more common. You would expect to see something like this in China, where the CCP has ordered newborns from religious and ethnic minorities to be killed. Recall that this is how Planned Parenthood started. Each time we ignore the ever faster approach of this evil, it gets worse. In Belgium, 89% of all medical officials would abort children with disabilities. I may not have a physical disability, but I have a form of autism. It is only a matter of time before these same doctors would order those like me to be aborted. Each time it gets worse, because Democrats do not value life. We have learned quite a bit from the Center for Medical Progress. Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion mill in the country, and thus the largest source of fetal tissue. Earlier, these officials testified that they do not try to keep the bodies intact to sell the organs. Compare that to this testimony.
Is the entire fetus intact in the lab when the procurement technician enters the lab?
Yes.
How does a tissue procurement occur in one of these situations when the entire fetus is intact in the lab?
We do dissection.
Do you mean that they did not have a heartbeat?
It would depend.
How long did PPPSW have a relationship with ABR, or does it continue to today?
It continues.
Planned Parenthood has admitted on oath that they have children that are born intact, and they sell this fetal tissue to the highest bidder. They are selling human tissue. We have to stop this before it gets any worse. We continue to learn that the reaction to the China virus was severely blown out of proportion. Businesses, schools, and churches have been shut down for no reason at all. Not only is the survival rate the same as the flu, but your child is more likely to be kidnapped going out to start the car for you than to die from this virus. Governor Gary Herbert of Utah has decided that children in public schools must wear a mask, even if their parents object. He has issued a mandate that all of the kids wear a mask, or face 6 months in jail, as well as a $1,000 fine. That is beyond extreme for something that does not even do anything. Parents across the country are pulling their children out of school rather than deal with this nonsense. The China virus really is backfiring on the Democrats. I am going to say something radical that may turn most of you off. Parents have a right to choose which medical procedures are done on their child and which medicines they receive. Is that really so bad? School districts in Florida are demanding that kids get the necessary vaccinations even if they are not attending in person. If they are not even interacting with other students at the school, what difference does it make if they are not vaccinated? No difference at all. Meanwhile, some school districts already mandate the flu vaccine, even though its efficacy is questionable. It is only a matter of time before schools mandate a vaccine for the China virus. This will not do any good either. It is all about pushing an agenda that the state is the best arbiter of healthcare, not the individual. This last part of it depresses me, but Pope Francis has supported this universal vaccination. That is one of the qualms of a spiritual leader, also being a political leader. I mentioned before that our reaction to this virus is overblown. Many of the deaths have been from people cooped up in their homes where suicidal thoughts and actions increased substantially. Being locked with an abusive spouse or parent, not to mention Governor Cuomo putting people who are sick in nursing homes to prepare for the major influx of innumerable China virus patients that never came. Let's look at that last one for a minute. Cuomo placed countless people in nursing homes so that hospitals would have the space to deal with the virus, even though it did not end as badly as anticipated. As a result, countless elderly people died from diseases that they did not have to be exposed to. Now that we know what happened, we should have an independent investigation to determine who knew what and who to hold accountable. Cuomo, however, does not want any such investigation, since it would be political. Since we cannot even trust the deaths to be counted accurately, we should not be surprised when they cannot even be investigated. Since the Russia collusion narrative was a big nothing burger and had absolutely no evidence whatsoever, Democrats have to come up with a new conspiracy. This is nothing new. There was the MLK bus that disappeared, even though it had not. The fake news has to keep making up conspiracy theories, otherwise their audience might start to tune them out. The latest conspiracy is that Trump ordered the post office to begin the removal of outdoor public mailboxes. When it was investigated, we learned that they were being removed because they are less useful when people mainly use email, and that they undergo maintenance before being put back. So basically, we have the fake news creating a story out of nothing without researching it. Again. However, that is not where this story ends. The House is looking at symbolic legislation to give boatloads of additional funding to the post office, as well as preventing changes by the administration. However, the most important question is not being asked. Since the UPS and FedEx are doing so well, why do we even need a state-run mail carrier? Lindsey Graham has found documents that show that there was a blatant double standard in the investigations during the 2016 election. The FBI found out about corruption in the Clinton campaign in regards to foreign intervention, and instead of investigating it, gave Clinton the heads up. Meanwhile, they began investigating Trump. Despite the nothing burger, it did not stop. I would like to point out that despite being attacked even by our own government, Donald Trump still won. That is nothing short of miraculous, and it is practically divine. Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York, like most Democrats, believes that law enforcement is to blame for how criminals act. It is like New York blaming the Avengers for the Chitauri invasion. And they did. Because of this non-connection, he is pulling funding from 500 departments around the state. This is in response to an uptick in criminal activity. He is not even going to consider that it might be a result of the BLM rioters. This is actually going to harm the black community because there will not be police there to respond to the homicides that come from black-on-black crime. Instead of having a 3-day conference, the Republicans should have just aired 3 straight days of riots. The RNC got off to a rocky start with the fake news cutting off the speakers in the middle to fact-check them. Heaven forbid these people wait until the speaker is done speaking before they start commenting. It was especially sad because even Fox News started cutting off the speakers. People were forced to watch it on YouTube and OAN. There were many influential speakers such as Candace Owens, Abby Johnson, and Donald Jr. Two of the lesser-known speakers were Nick Sandmann and the McCloskey couple. The fake news attacked Sandmann as an entitled snot-nosed brat who insulted a Native American. That narrative has already been proven wrong countless times, but like the riots, they still cannot admit that they were wrong. Speaking of the riots, Mayor Lightfoot has endorsed BLM and has called to defund the police, but uses them as her personal security for her own home, and has banned protesting on her block. You are not allowed to defend your home, even if people come there with guns. Those wretched pieces of scum would have killed this couple had they not defended themselves, and it would not have even made it to the local news. The fake news is beyond despicable, in my humble opinion. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion.